All right, so we're going to start off with our disclaimer. Topics, properties, and investments discussed are for educational purposes only. We do not sell securities. Each investor is responsible for their own decision and must evaluate investments according to their investment risk tolerance. Opinions expressed are those of speakers and no one else. And tonight, this evening, we have a very amazing special guest. Cabrin is a real estate professional from Kansas City, Kansas. He has been involved in real estate since 2015. He has worked as a real estate agent, an acquisitions manager, wholesaler. He's done flips, single-family rentals, and is currently the Chief Marketing Officer of Synergy Paradigm Capital, who is providing value to commercial real estate investors by raising equity for acquisitions. Cabrin has a background in music and as a studio engineer where he wrote, recorded, mixed, mastered, and produced music for 10 years prior to being in real estate. He has a 10-year-old daughter and enjoys reading, writing, and spending time with his family. Without further ado, allow me to present to the group, Cabrin Mills.
Hello, everyone. It's a privilege and an honor to be able to do this once again. I guess I didn't do such a bad last time since Max invited me back. So I appreciate you taking a minute and paying attention to what I have to say. I'll present my screen here. Okay. Everybody see my screen now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just go right into the presentation, and today we'll be talking about copywriting and 5 crucial copywriting tips that can increase your sales immediately. And just starting off, what is copy? Is everybody on the call, who's all familiar with copywriting or know what it is, done it before, have any experience with copywriting? Anyone? Take that as a no. So that's good.
I know what it is.
Okay, good. So we got one. And I asked that because it's not to be confused with like copyright, like if you plagiarizing and things like that. And that's actually what I thought the first time. And I'll let you know too. I've been doing marketing, forever. And even as I said in the intro, I had done music, and we were, I didn't even know at that time I was doing copywriting and stuff as well. But when I actually heard the term copywriting and actually really started learning what it was, that was the first thought that I had, was that it involved like, protecting your rights as like a trademark and things like that. And it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing at all. Jim Edwards, he defines copywriting as sales copywriting is anything intended to persuade the right reader, viewer, or listener to take a specific action. So you all may be able to see why that may be important, and see how it's relevant to you, because it's everywhere. I mean, everything from your emails to you see a billboard ad, if you see a social media ads, a lot of times even documents at work, brochures, like anything that is wanting to guide you to do something or take some type of action, it is copywriting. One of the greatest copywriters of this generation he said that there is no problem that can't be solved with, I think his words was, a good sales letter. And when you think about it, especially when it pertains to business, that's really true, because the key to success in business a lot of times comes down to actually getting people in the door, generating sales. In our business, it may be investors, or finding if you need to attract brokers or passive investors, or whoever you need in order to accomplish your goals. The ability to get those people in the door and and do what you want them to do is a lot of times going to be directly related to how successful your company is. Even if your offer or whatever you're doing, even if your services was subpar, but you're able to get enough people in the door to offset that. And I think we've all probably experienced that with, some big companies where they think of like a McDonald's where their food's not that good, but, they get so many people in the door that it doesn't even matter. And, and I'm going off on a tangent real quick, and that brings a point too. A lot of times with like a company like McDonald's they don't have to really do copywriting because they're such a big company that we already know, everybody knows who McDonald's is. So they just put up a commercial just to remind you, hey, we're here, stop by on the way home from work or something like that. For us, a lot of times, for us being small business owners and people not knowing who we are, a lot of times we have to go out and put ourselves in front of them and then guide them into our doors or into our funnel or to our pipeline in order for us to pretty much seduce them into doing business with us a lot of times if they don't already know us in some capacity. So a lot of times people think marketing is that's one big difference between small business marketing and big business marketing is that that piece is a lot of times big businesses are doing more investor or marketing for public relations so that people know who they are and that they'll have a certain affiliation with their name or their brand opposed to actually getting customers in the door. That's just a distinction I wanted to clarify. One thing you should do is pay attention to the copy that moves you. So anything that if there's an ad that you've seen on Facebook or on Instagram, or even if you got an email, you subscribe to somebody's newsletter, or you end up signing up for a course or a webinar or anything like that, take a step back and look at what was said that attracted you to that offering. Well, with that webinar, that free ebook, that whatever it is. Look at the message that was said and just pay attention to those things that move you, because that's usually a sign that it's good copy because it obviously worked on you. And if it worked on you, most people are pretty similar in a lot of ways, so it probably worked on somebody else. So yeah, that's emails, social media ads, in magazines. If you see, a lot of ads running magazines, infomercials and things like that as well. Also, are a good showcase of solid copy. So to get into how to actually write copy, and that's a really broad a statement really because there's so many there's a lot that goes into it, and actually to be a high level copywriter, it is a skill that takes a lot of time and energy and and work to actually gain these skills. But there are formulas. It's not one of those things like you're just born with it or you're gifted, just born with the ability to write copy, and you have it or you don't. It's usually a formula, and a lot of times it's really more so constructing copy or sales letters and things like that, opposed to actually writing as somebody may write a book or or some type of creative writing. There's more of a process. And one of the first things that you want to do when you're writing copy is knowing who you're writing to, understanding your customer. You want to understand what their problems are. You want to know what questions they have. You want to know what roadblocks are in the way of solving these problems that they have. And then you also want to know what those results actually are. Because by being able to do that, you're able to identify those things, speak directly to them. I don't know if anybody ever actually they were on, they're just on social media, or maybe you were looking at a YouTube video or something like that, and somebody just popped on the screen and they're talking, and you just felt like they were talking directly to you, like they're speaking, like I was just thinking that, like you in my head or something. It's like, how do you know all these things that I was just stressing about or whatever? And that's when they understand who their target market is and what they're thinking, what they're going through at that moment, because that's how you get people to connect and resonate and pay attention to what you're saying, and then you're able to start presenting them solutions, and that's how you start to get the results that you're looking for. So these are 10 discovery questions from Dan Kennedy's Ultimate Sales Letter book. And these are questions like if before you ever started writing any copy or um, really diving into actual sales letter or marketing or some type of ad, questions that you want to ask. And this is something even if you were working with a marketing consultant or you have somebody, you pay somebody to do marketing for you, these are questions they probably should be asking you, or questions that you should be answering about your customer no matter what, because it again is going to help you target and really find those people that you are looking for and who you can add the most value to, and be able to get a much better return on your investment when it comes to your marketing dollars. But so the 10 questions is what keeps them awake at night? What they can't sleep, they're staring at the ceiling, they're stressed out, they may be in pain, whatever it is. What is that thing? What is it that is keeping them up? What are they afraid of? Fear moves people in a lot of ways, and usually most people are afraid of something. And what is that? And how does your product relate to that? What are they angry about, and who are they angry at? These are also powerful emotions that usually can move people to take action in one way or another when you can speak directly to them. um, what are their top three daily frustrations? What are the things that on a daily basis they are constantly nagging, feeling in their head or in their mind or in their life, in which you can address. What trends are occurring in their business or their lives, and we can specifically in real estate, interest rates going up, things like that. What does that mean? So these are like the trends, or just anything, any lifestyle changes or things that are coming. If you can paint that picture for somebody and tell them how to avoid a certain problem or get to a certain solution to this oncoming trend, that will put you in a great position. What do they secretly and ardently desire? A lot of people have they may not speak it out loud, but a lot of times people have these internal secret desires that deep down inside they really want to accomplish or they're looking to meet. And if you can help them accomplish that, you'll be paid ready for it. Uh, is there a bias in how they make decisions? This one is based more on like knowing the type of if you're marketing to an engineer, typically, or an accountant or somebody, there a lot of times they're more their data and numbers, and they're really analytical and things like that. So knowing that in the forefront when you're crafting your message will make a difference in how you communicate with these people on a day-to-day basis. Um, and do they have their own language? And that's really important. Again, speaking just from the real estate perspective, we have, so many acronyms and terms and things like that, that if you're not involved in the industry, you would not understand. And if somebody wanted to market to any of us to get us to take some type of action, you would need to know and understand that language to be able to best communicate. Um, you want to know who's selling something similar to their product, or how this is, and this is talking to like a business. If a business is struggling or something of that nature, who's selling something similar to them and how are they selling it? Because if you know that, you can differentiate yourself from that, and you can show people how they can accomplish that goal by that differentiation. And then in a similar question, who else has tried to sell them a similar product as you're offering or service that you're offering and it's failed? Because if you can start diagnosing why that other company failed, and you can craft your offering to meet those needs that weren't addressed by the other competitor. So these are 10 questions that to get your brain rolling. And even if you didn't answer all of these, which you probably should, if you are, whenever you're preparing any type of marketing, whether, like I said, whether it's an ad or Facebook ad or direct mail feeds or something, if you're able to answer all those questions, your response rate will drastically increase, because you'll start to get inside the mind and body of your ideal customer. Then we also get into the demographics, just more kind of general. Most people you gotta know what they want, and that's another point. A lot of times people make a mistake. They try to market to people's needs. Like, people need to eat healthy, and people need to do a lot of stuff. But people don't really. I mean, if they absolutely have to, they'll make those decisions. But most people are making spending decisions off of their wants. So that's going to be a more powerful influencer than people's needs. We all need to do a lot of stuff that we don't do. But we do a lot. But the stuff that we want to do, we'll a lot of times go out the way for that. So, speaking to their wants, and most people, they want to save money, they want to make money, they want to save time, they want to avoid effort and make stuff easier. They want to escape mental or physical pain. They want to get more comfort. They want to achieve greater cleanliness and overall health, just better health overall. They want to gain praise, and they want to feel more loved. And then they also want to increase their popularity and their status as well. And these are, I'm sure these can get dissected into a bunch of subcategories, but on a high level, these are usually the main things that people are looking to accomplish. So again, when you're looking to influence somebody to make a decision, what is your product? What is your service? What is whatever you're doing? How does it speak to one of these things that you can motivate people to do? Because that's, again, speaking to their wants. That's what they're looking to get out of life. So you're able to draw them a little bit more easily. But now let's get to actually constructing the copy. And we'll speak on headlines, which is probably the most important. Actually, it's not probably. It is the most important part of your copy, because if the goal of the headline is to get people intrigued, to get people interested, and to get people to actually read whatever you're saying, you could write an amazing, persuasive sales letter or Facebook post that, if people actually read it, you probably could have got, all the sales or all the investors or all, whatever you were looking to accomplish, you could have accomplished it, but nobody ever read it because the headline either wasn't there or it wasn't attractive. So it didn't actually get people engaged enough to take that next step. So that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you capture their attention. You want to get them intrigued and interested in whatever you're talking. And, there's several different type of headlines. And these are just a few with a couple of examples. And there's the how-to. And Charmaine, you had mentioned a good example of the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's a book title and it's such a famous book. And a lot of its fame came because of that title. Because, that's what people want to do. They want to win friends and they want to influence people. So you speak directly to that, and it gets people interested and want to see what you want, what you're saying and how you're saying. And there's also variations of that too, where you can add on. You can add a time frame. So how to, let's say, how to have six-pack abs. Then if you add onto that, you can say how to have six-pack abs in as little as 30 days. And then you can even extend that further to say how to have six-pack abs in 30 days, even if you've never worked out before. Probably an unrealistic claim, but again, it engages that attention and gets people interested and intrigued. Like, oh, well, at least let me see what they're talking about. I know that's too good to be true. At least let me see what this guy's talking about, this girl's talking about, and then you at least have them in the door, so you can actually start persuading them from there. You have ways to get what you want headlines. And a lot of times these work really good with specific numbers. Like this one, you say five foolproof ways to attract passive investors. And that could be anything. 3 key secrets to saving more money. To any number, usually specific numbers. And it doesn't have to be a number, but typically having a specific number just engages. For one, it gives it a little bit more credibility, and it gets people a little bit more engaged as far as what you're talking about. That's always a good one too, to get people what they want. Then there's the mistake headlines. The mistakes new investors need to avoid. Mistakes every copywriter makes from the start that you can prevent right now. And whenever you do that, because again, people, it speaks to that fear, and people don't want to make mistakes. People don't want to be humiliated. And people, and if everybody's, and that's another thing, if you do an inclusive message, three uh, three mistakes that all new investors make, three mistakes that everybody, and it's like, everybody, well, I don't want to make those same mistakes. Let me read this and see how I can avoid that. And then you have the warning headlines. Um, and the warning headlines are, I don't know what happened to my warning example, but usually that's going to just be where you would just put a warning disclaimer before. Like, it could be that same as that mistakes warning, three mistakes new investors always make, and learn how to avoid them right now by reading this short post or something like that. It's usually putting just that tag warning in before any other headline that just gives it a little bit more of give it a little bit more of an attention getter. And then always use headlines in social media. That's another thing. Like with headlines, it's so important that if you, even with social media, that's one thing I encourage everybody to do. Like the most simple way to start implementing copy in your day-to-day life is, if you're making Facebook posts, if you're doing any type of post or anything like that, just learn how to make a headline, because I guarantee if you have a stronger headline, you can, again, your post could be the exact same, but just put a good headline on top of that, and you're gonna get more likes, you get more reads, more engagement in that. And that's even YouTube videos. If you make YouTube videos, your headline or the title of that video, and if it speaks to the things that people are actually looking for, especially on the internet, with everybody having such a short attention span, you've been able to capture somebody's attention really quickly and actually get them to read whatever you're saying. I think that's probably one of the best ways to practice headlines and start utilizing the power of copywriting just in your everyday life. There's a warning. Here's what every investor needs to know about real estate. Something along that lines. All right. Okay, now we can get into formatting, and this is again, just like the headlines. Those are just a few. There's so many different ways, and there's a lot of you actually see, if you look at your emails, or if you look at the ads and things like that people have been sending you, or that you've already seen, you'll see a lot of the same similar ones, because there's some that universally work no matter what your product, service, and offering is, and people usually just keep on repeating that, putting their own words and things like that. And it's similar to with this format. You can apply these formats to almost any industry, any business, and they work pretty universally and have for a long time. And first one is probably the most popular one, and it's where you define a problem, you agitate, and then you present the solution. And that's usually, and you'll see this one a lot of times. It's just like, it will say, oh, you're overweight. You're having these problems with your health issues. You're going to the doctor, and then you start getting to the agitate. Oh, your wife isn't happy with you anymore. You're not attractive. And you start kind of making that person feel bad a little bit. It's like, oh, you can't go outside and play with your kids. Don't you want to be able to play with your kids? Like, yeah, I want to play with my kids. And then it's like, don't worry, I have the solution. So you bring them the solution, and you kind of take them through this roller coaster, where once you show them what the problem is, you rub it in their face, and then you bring them, their knight in shining armor to rescue them, which is your product, your service, your offering. And by doing it, so this is probably one of the most common ones that you will see. And again, next time you're watching a YouTube video, or if you're on Facebook or whatever social media, or even in your emails, just check your emails, any of the list that you're on that's sending you daily emails and stuff. Just read through the copy, and see if you can identify where they're utilizing this one. And I'm sure you'll see it pretty frequently. Another one is the benefit format, and this is where you basically are just stacking benefits. So we go back to the health example. You'll have start utilizing this workout plan, and you'll feel better. That's one benefit. You'll look better. That's two benefits. And all your friends are going to compliment you when they see you. That's three benefits. And you so in everything you would always stack. This is playing on the positive. This is, I guess, the first one being negative reinforcement. This is positive reinforcement. Is just pointing out the what people are looking to accomplish, and stacking on top of that, and always using the three benefits opposed to just one. And then you have the before, the after, and the bridge. And a lot of times that's similar to the first one, where you're going to take people, and you're going to give them you're going to tell them basically, this is where you are, this is where you want to be, and then this is how I can get you there. So again, you're kind of defining that the problem. Like right now, you're not the weight that you want to be. You can't do these things that you want to do. But imagine this. That's a lot of times what they'll say. They'll say, imagine this. Close your eyes and imagine now you're on the beach, and you walking around with confidence, and all the ladies and the fellas are looking at you like, hey, they got it going on, and you feeling so confident walking with your head high. That could be you. And this is how. And then you bring them that bridge, and then you present your product or your service right there in between them, and then walk them to the checkout aisle from there. And then a really important thing, you got to know what you want them to do. At the end of the day, as we mentioned, once you go through these formats, when you present your solution, when you talk about these benefits, when you talk about the bridge, at the end of it, what is the ultimate goal? And having a clear call to action, that is so detrimental to so many, sales ads and stuff. I think about it all the time. When I drive by a billboard or something, and it'd be like the HVAC guy or HVAC guy, and then the phone number. And in my mind, I just kind of think like, okay, But if he said the HVAC guy, call now, 816, whatever the case is, it gives, I don't know why in the human's mind, just that simple, do it now, just like, oh, okay, yeah, now I would at least be more likely to take that action, opposed to you just putting the number and assuming. And that's what a lot of people fail to do, is they assume if they do a great job, they put a great offering out there, people are just going to act. They're just going to come and flock to the table. They're going to come to the checkout. They're going to come fill up their carts, and they're going to start signing checks, swiping cards, and all that stuff. And that's just not how it works. You have to tell people what you want them to do, and you have to be really clear. Tell them exactly what you want to do. I need you to click here. It seems obvious that the button. You would think that they would know this is where you click, but no. And you click here right now to get this. I need you to call this number right now to receive your free report or to get your free consultation. I need you to order today, and again, how you can order. Call here, click here to order now. Go to this website and register to this, whatever the case is, whatever goal that you're looking to accomplish. And again, depending on your business, depending on your offering, whatever it is, like again, you may be looking to get people into a funnel for just to opt in so you can build up an email list. You may want to get people into a webinar. You may be trying to sell them a specific product right now. You may just try to set them up for a consultation to get them in the next step in the sales process, whatever it is, depending on what those, your different offer is, it'll change. But overall, you want to make sure that you know exactly what you want them to do by the end of this ad or the end of this advertising. They know exactly what they're going to get and what they need to do to get that benefit. And all of this stuff, this format, swipe files. You're encouraged for you to use swipe files. As I mentioned, most of this stuff isn't people just coming up with it off the top of their heads. Is all of these are formats and formulas. And again, as I've mentioned in the beginning, if you notice the copy and the things that have moved you and got you to spend money, just copy that. And that's what a swipe file is. You're literally swiping people's ideas. So if you see a headline that got you to read somebody's blog, copy that, put it in a Word document and just save it, because then whenever you make a post, you can just take that same, just rearrange it a little bit, or just input your information or what makes it relevant to your post. And then you'll get the same results, because again, it worked on you, it will work on other people. And you would just want to do that just over years. Anytime you see anything that moves you, that's well written, that's something that you think would be beneficial. Again, if it gets reaction out of you, then it will work on somebody else. So collect that information so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just utilize other people's creativity. And oh yeah, the last part of usually the formatting and the construction of it is always add a PS at the end of your copy or your sales letter or your ad, because what it does is it gives you one more. It allows you to reiterate those facts and those benefits. Again, remind them what they're getting. Again, remind them that this is what we're offering and how it will benefit your life. Kind of reminding them that bridge, it's reminding them of that benefit, it's reminding them of that solution again. And then it gives you one more chance to get them to act again. So click here. Oh yeah, remember, you'll get this, and this by clicking this link right now and registering for this webinar. And that's so always add that PS because it may be that one little push that takes people over the edge. Okay, so last thoughts on all of this is that pretty much there's always the question, is this worth learning? Again, there's a lot of time and energy that goes into actually being a high level copywriter. So it's a lot of times, should you learn the skill or should you just outsource it? And the question is, you should do both. Okay, because at the end of the day, even if you are paying this, say you wanted to market to off market investment opportunities, off market apartment buildings, and you hired a marketing company, and they're going to charge you, all of this money, and you're about to spend all this money on direct mail and everything, and then but they don't know any of this stuff that I just told you, and they write up a sales letter or something, and then they give it to you, and you not knowing any better, you think like, oh, it sounds good, but it doesn't address any of the things that, sound copywriting that's been working for, years and years has been, been utilized, and they're not utilizing that. If you don't know that, and you don't know what good copywriting looks like, and you can potentially be shorting yourself and hurting your own business because of the ignorance of not knowing. So it's even if you don't do it, it's good for you to know. And then also, even if somebody did, even if say they do know how to write good copy, and they send it, you may have ideas on how they can improve it, or just how no one's going to know your business, your customer, and what your offer better than you are. So being able to articulate that, especially in the form of copy, and helping and working arm in arm with your marketer or your hired copywriter, I think will take you to another level and get you much better results. This is a quote by Gary Halbert, again, one of the greatest copywriters of this generation. He said, if you are in need of a truly world-class copywriter, you're probably going to have to learn to do it yourself. You see, the few of us who can really do it, write copy that sells, are so much in demand that you can't even think about hiring us unless you are willing to spend an arm and a leg. And even then, you will still have to wait in line. And that's the truth, because if you think about it, when you have the ability, like I said, this is probably one of the most valuable skills in the world, because if you have the ability to get people in the door, that's what every single business in the world needs. They need customers. They need people to pay for their offering, for their service, for their products. And if you have that ability to get people in that door, people will pay you whatever amount of money you ask them in a lot of cases, because your value, is going to come back tenfold by doing so. And the issue is, a lot of times when people are really good at writing copy, they're like, why would I write it for you when I can just sell my own product or service? And at that point, you will have to, now you have to compete with how much money that they're making on their own efforts and selling and marketing their own products and services. So then even their value goes up even more. So that's kind of the the catch-22 with it. So at the end of the day, it's best for you to be able to write your own copy and at least be knowledgeable on how that whole process works. So that's my presentation. Thank you again, everyone, for taking the time out. And if you have any questions, yeah, fire away.
So I have a question, Cabrin.
Yes, sir.
What is some good books to study this, or maybe some courses or seminars to take to study this, to learn about this?
I would say I've read like everything Dan Kennedy, and one of his best ones, or probably the most foundational is the No BS Direct Mail. Uh, it's a long title, but if you say no, his brand is the No BS Guide to whatever. And if you type in Dan Kennedy and No BS, I think he has probably like 20 something books. But the direct mail, the direct marketing one is the most basic, but like I said, I read all of those. Copywriting Secrets by Jim Edwards. That one is really good and really practical. Dan Kennedy is old school, and a lot of the copyright. And most all of the stuff that you're going to learn, this stuff has been going on since like the 30s and before. None of this stuff is new, and because humankind hasn't changed very much. Stop presenting here. But yeah, so the people, haven't changed as much as far as their mind and how to influence them. So, but I think Jim Edwards, his book, he makes it really practical. Scientific Advertising, that's a classic by Clyde Hopkins. He's a kind of a legend. There's some other ones, and I'll put some books into the L10 as well. So you can have some references there because it's a lot of them. One of the book that I was reading, just finishing up, I looked at the back of that one for references on books that I could read, and he had like 10 of them that I've never read, and I was like, oh man, I got to get busy. So it's so much stuff you can learn. There's a lot of information out there, but I think that those ones starting out will at least get you a miles ahead of a lot of people who haven't done so.
Yeah, I was going to ask almost the same question. I was going to say, who's your top three, favorite authors? You mentioned Dan Kennedy. You mentioned Gary Halbert.
Yeah, Gary Halbert.
Okay, Jim Edwards. How about, Jay Abrams or Abraham, maybe it is?
Yep, he's a...
Yeah.
That sticking point he talks about a lot.
Yeah, sticking point, book.
And matter of fact, what's this other one? And actually that book actually told me about this other one, How to Write Copy That Sells, I think, by Victor O. Let me make sure I'm not saying it wrong. No, How to Write Good Advertising. Okay. How to Write Good Advertising by Victor O. Schwab, or is that how you say his name? Victor O. Schwab, How to Write Good Advertising. That's one, and it's hard to say. I think Gary Halbert, I think, is probably one of my favorites. I think that and he does. I only have like one of his books and his book is really just a book of compiled newsletters that he had when he was doing. So you can actually see him, and it's impressive to see because, and this one thing I didn't mention in the presentation too. You could a lot of people don't know how long it should be, if you should write a short sales letter, because, a lot of times the thought is, if I'm writing 2-3 pages, is anybody even going to read that? And the answer is the people who are really interested in what you're offering will. The people who aren't won't, so at the end of the day, you should always write your marketing to be as long as it needs to be to illustrate the benefits that you're offering and get the person sold on it. So however long that takes. And I say that because there's guys whose whole books, all they are is copy. There's 100 pages of, and you can see it in his newsletters and stuff like that. His whole formatting is all copy. And he's just talking to you like, like he was just teaching you, but he's actually showing you at the same time. So I think his book is somewhere around here. How to maximize I think How to Maximize Your Money with Minimum Time is Gary Halbert's book, which that one's really good. Like I said, anything Dan Kennedy. Actually, Russell Brunson's books, they're not really writing books, but they're marketing, direct response marketing, which is pretty much what this is. And he has direct, what is it? .com secrets, expert secrets, and
yeah. Say his name again. Say that author again.
Russell Brunson.
Oh yeah.
He's ClickFunnels. If you all are familiar with ClickFunnels, he's that's his company. And actually, I think he bought out all of Dan Kennedy's. I think he bought the licenses and stuff to all of his old marketing stuff. So I think that's his company now as well. The No BS.
Awesome. Okay, so, and I'm glad you mentioned the sales letter because, I was going to ask you, my question was, Dan Kennedy, and I'm a huge fan of Dan Kennedy. He would write, a 30-page sales letter, right? The kind of thing, just like you mentioned, you don't think anybody's going to read it. And all of the testing would show that the longer sales letter would produce better results. Is the long form sales letter still alive? Does it still work?
I think it does. And it's, again, it's to that point where if you're targeting the right person who would really benefit, and especially when you talk about like direct mail, I think it's harder if you're talking about, on the internet, a website, and you're putting these long form sales copy because, again, people so distracted. It's hard to keep somebody's attention, stuff pinging and binging and, all kind of stuff everywhere. And they very well probably weren't looking for your sales letter in the first place. They may have just stumbled upon it and started reading it. So to keep them engaged that long is probably a challenge. But especially like in direct mail, one thing that was illustrated one time was that, when somebody's reading when somebody's at home, if they open the mail, that you got them to open this envelope and then you caught their attention with a catchy headline. And now they're in the comfort of their own home. They're on their couch. They're in the non-pressure, comfortable environment where they're able to get engaged into your copy. But you have to keep it interesting. Keep them engaged, keep them interested, and keep appealing to their interest. Then yes, the more that they know, the more confident they'll be in whatever you're offering, and the more sold they'll be by the end of it. Again, if you lose them, they're probably gone for good. So yeah, I think that the longer sales copy does still work. And again, I think it goes to the point that it's hard to really illustrate. I mean, think of your sales copy is pretty much a salesperson. It's a written salesperson. And if you, as a salesperson, how long does it take a salesperson to sell you on anything? Something that you don't know anything about, that you don't really necessarily think you even need. If they just came in and gave you a 2-minute pitch, how sold are you going to be on that? It's like, well, it sounds good, but I need more information. Usually that would be your response. But if they're able to keep you like, oh, but look at this, check out this benefit, see how this works, then it's like, oh, okay, oh, I didn't know it could do that. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know I needed that. And then the more you learn about that product or that service, the more you're engaged and the more likely you are to take action. So just my input. I don't know. I'm still a beginner in this in all of this, but I think it is still alive though. Any other questions?
It's hard to picture you as a beginner because this was such a great presentation. I appreciate it. Right on topic. Thanks.
I really appreciate that.
I love your formatting. The thing that you did about formatting, I really like that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's kind of the main piece of it. And I've done so, and Larry, I think is because when I discovered this, my mind was blown. Again, I have a background in writing. I've been writing like since I was 12. And
I could tell.
I've been in sales since I was like 16. So, but these two things never came together.
Wow.
Oh man, this is like my calling. And even as selling, I'm not a high pressure like salesperson like in the traditional sense of I'm better when I can pre-think my sales pitch and and all that. So this made sense, but I was like, okay, how do I do that? So when I started reading more and learning more, the laws are pretty universal and the formats are, people have been using them, rinsing and repeating them for for years and years. Even, and it's funny to see, even I think in one of the old copywriting books, they were saying like a good headline was, or for direct mail pieces, they would say to enclose a picture or a photo, and then it would say on outside the envelope, photo enclosed, do not bend or do not fold or something like that. And people like photos and stuff, and it gets people interested, like, oh, I want to see this picture. So more people would be more likely to open that envelope. And again, this is one that was done back in the 80s. And then Russell Brunson, I'm on his email list, and I just seen like a couple weeks ago, he sent that exact same headline, but it's an email. It said, do not fold or do, it's a picture and close, and I still clicked on it. I was like, I got to see what it is. It still worked, so, all this stuff that people have been using for years is still relevant. And, once you kind of learn those formats, I think that, like I said, it could be a gold mine for you.
Do you know if there's so when it comes to outsourcing, what would be the best way to like maybe outsource somebody like a virtual assistant to do this that specializes in this and might have experience doing it?
They do have, and I gotta look up the actual. It's called the American Writers and, I'm gonna look that up. There is a specific organization. It's like the American Writers and Marketing Association or something like that, where you can go and they have like job boards where you can put up if you have a specific job. You can also look at Fiverr. And it's that's touch and go. The level of skill that you get will vary. But you can go that route, and then a lot of times I don't know if Joe Polish still. That's another. He's another guy, Joe Polish, and I'm not sure if his company is still, because I know he went on like a hiatus, but his company also had they were doing marketing consulting and stuff and things like that. But usually, if you the guys who are really making noise, I think they all run together. Like, and if you as you start reading and learning more about one or the other, you'll start seeing the companies and the agencies that are they're working. I've been training my VA on how to start writing copy, and she's learning like the basics. And again, I think if you kind of provide them with the education and stuff like that, again, it's going to take time probably for them to be able to produce like high level copy, but at the same time, I think that once they're able to grasp the foundation, that they'll still be able to construct effective copy at the bare minimum. So I would still encourage if you have VAs, share the books and things like that. That's all I pretty much have been doing. We meet weekly. We have meetings like this, and I share all the knowledge that I have and the books and the resources I have, and she reads it and we go over it and stuff like that, so that we, so ultimately, even as I start building my marketing company, that can be something, because I know I only have so much time. I can start building a team of copywriters as well. So it's definitely possible. I think it takes time to actually train your own, but you can find someone like Fiverr and stuff as well.
Okay, thank you.
We've run some ads on Upwork, and the big key, I think, is like, I've read all the books. I love them, but I can't do this for the life of me, right? It doesn't click with me in terms of doing it myself, but I'll ask people, who are your favorite, marketing gurus, just like your top 3 books or whatever. And if they don't mention that they've read all the Dan Kennedy books, then I don't know if they're the right person, So
Yeah.
You just want to hear those names, and it's like when Cabrin talks and you mention those authors, even his eyes light up, right? Because they're such geniuses, they're such legends that when when you find that person that's excited about them, then I think you're on the right track to finding the right person. So, did you talk to Charles yet? My Charles yet, Cabrin?
I have not, and I don't know if he had called me. I get so many like calls, and my mother fills up my my voicemail pretty frequently.
Okay,
So,
that's funny.
So sometimes when people call me, I'm like, "Dang, Mom, I missed the important message." But so I don't know. He may have called me, and I may have missed it. But yeah, tell him to reach out, and I can.
Yeah, I want you to talk to him, and when you do, like, he's gonna ask you, like all our questions, but you dive into a peer relationship with him, because all those authors. He was in Dan Kennedy's, mastermind group for
That was sure
decades.
good. Yeah,
He's,
yeah, he was right there, front line. That's awesome. Yeah, I wish I want to go to it now. I think that I think Russell Brunson is trying to kind of reignite that. But I know that they're basically taking his old ones and like they're making courses and stuff out of it now. But I know it's probably nothing like actually being there and being able to actually be face to face with them. So that's awesome.
All right, that's awesome. And I hear you you said when you're building your marketing company. So your dreams are build a marketing company?
Well, ultimately, I want to focus. I'm always going to be in real estate, and that's really going to be my is whether we're focused on. I want to the goal is to come up with the perfect copy and sales campaign or marketing campaign to find those large off-market deals. Kind of, I love brokers, but get past the brokers, and that's one thing that I don't. I've talked through all my networking and efforts and everything. That's one thing that I've had maybe one or two people that, and they wouldn't tell me how they did it, but they, who have effectively been able to, and really I think it was just long-term relationships that they've just been nurturing for years, but actually having the direct mail campaign to target, the 200-300 unit complexes and get ahead of them before they're even thinking about selling, and being able to start that series of campaigns. So I really want to do that. Also, marketing towards investors, passive investors as well, doing direct mail campaigns and things like that to them. So I really want to focus on that and as my focus, and then also be able to add value to other investors in that same capacity. So yeah, that ultimately I think will be my niche and my focus in the long run, and we'll just keep focus on marketing, become the best and master the marketing piece of it, and just focus it in the real estate efforts. That'll be my ultimate goal.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because I feel the same way that the brokers are like just the middlemen in the way,
Yeah, they don't do much.
Seller wants what we want because they want what they want,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even and that's the thing too. Like even I was thinking like if you are able to successfully implement a direct mail campaign and you get some of these asset managers who contact you back or respond to your letter, and maybe it's not a good deal for you, but you're able to bring that to a broker and say, hey, they're looking to sell and be able to build value with invest. And now when you call a broker, you're calling him with the deal, instead of him, looking for him to call you. So when he actually does have one, he's way more likely to call you because now you're bringing a different level of value that nobody else is bringing. So on both sides, I think that there's so much potential that could be had doing that.
Awesome. That's a good idea, Cabrin.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So that's a win-win situation right there.
Yeah. I think, that's especially, if you don't already have those long-term relationships with those brokers, it's like, especially the old guys that have their book of business and everything, it's like without being able to bring a level of value to them, I think it's kind of switching the table around. And I don't know a lot of people that's doing that, or I haven't seen it personally. So I think it's an open market. Mm-hmm. Any more questions before we go? See, we approaching the time. All mine's clear, it seems.
Good job.
Thank you.
I rate you a 10.
We're already going for the rating. I rate you a 10 also.
Definitely a 10.
It's the meeting.
Good 10 as well. Great information, man.
Good topic tonight.
Learn a few things. 10.
I'm gonna give myself a 10 too.
Yeah. Okay, well, great the meeting. Looks like we'll end on time and even a little early, even though we started late, so that's perfect. I think that's it, right, Max? Anything else I gotta
No,
say?
thank you to you all. You know, it's always a pleasure to be on with you guys. I love being on the call with you, and it's always my pleasure to be with you. Thanks, Cabrin. That's awesome. And, yeah, I appreciate it very much. And thank you for your flexibility.
Yeah. We made it work.
No problem. It all worked out. Everything worked out perfect.
May the 4th be with you guys, and happy Mother's Day.
Thank
Nice.
you.
Thanks,
Mother's
nice.
Day, Charmaine, and
Thank you.
to any of the guys, man, I don't know, you know, it's a weird world we live in. Happy Mother's Day to
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Thank you for your presentation as well.
I appreciate you. Thank you for hosting, co-hosting, and you all have a great rest of your weekend.
All right.
Thank you,
All
too.
right.
Thank you all. Happy Mother's
Good
Day.
night. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.